What's
What's
up,
up?
Jesse?
Hey man, huge fan. I think I love everything you touch. Film, comics, what the Boulay brothers. It seems like you never stop working. So you have a fan on deck here.
Thanks, man.
Of course, of course. So don't, jumping into Dust Bunny, this was a wild ride. Holy shit. Mixes fairy tale logic with grounded emotional truth, a little bit of horror. What most intrigued you about your character in a world where imagination and reality constantly blur?
There's two things that really just immediately magnetize me right into into a place of creative being that felt so exhilarating to me. The first was that it was the imagination of Brian Fuller, who knows how to sculpt and create limitlessly imaginative worlds and spaces and characters that still have the beating heart of true, authentic human emotion. So then, with the role that I was, given the honor of getting to play, being the conspicuously inconspicuous man, just in the title alone, in his name, the way he is described, he is someone that can slide through the world on the subway train, in the office building, at the Starbucks behind you in line, and you'll never see it coming. He'll just slide up right behind you and take you out. And that was the skill set that I was bringing to hunting down this mysterious stranger, Mads Mikkelsen. And it was like, what an awesome opportunity to be a total badass who at the same time looks like the guy who would be probably, helping you deposit checks at the bank.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. And I like the way you said, described your character. And I'm going to piggyback off of that. You said, Brian Fuller does write characters that are heightened yet deeply human. How were you able to find that balance? Because one of the scenes, like I think it's your introduction, I really enjoyed. It's like you have to kind of manipulate the space, but yet deliver in a way that's very larger than life, but still emotionally authentic. How do you find that balance as an actor with working with such a talented cast as well as Brian Fuller?
You play the intention. So the intention in every scene that I have has an end goal, which is Mads's character needs to be eliminated. I have been hired to do a job. Now, the conflict and the excitement is that yes, there are, physical obstructions. The fact that, Mads is, this really, really gifted assassin in his own right, and it's going to be really hard to get somebody who's that skillful. But he is in the presence of this innocent, and that has tripped something up in my ethical morality compass as the conspicuously inconspicuous man, and I am genuinely concerned for the well-being of this child. How often in a film would you think you get to play, uh, a very dangerous hitman who also cares about the well-being of a small child? That's the beauty of a Brian Fuller story.
Yeah, and then also speaking of that, Dust Bunny is intentionally colorful and vibrant, which it's this feast for the eyes, if you will, not shadow drenched like a traditional horror. How does acting within such a surreal and stylized environment affect the way that you inhabit a character? Because you have so many notches in the horror belt, if you will, and I have to imagine that it's fun to kind of play in both the dark and dreary as well as this world that Brian Fuller created because it was so fun for the viewer as well.
I would say that the history that I have developing my acting um, in the stage and in the theater is something that really benefited me because you're constantly in a state of pure imagination. There's nothing that seems or feels realistic usually when you're in the confines of the wonderful, theater. That being said, I've also, you said I've worked a lot in the genre space, but I've been a diehard fan of the genre space since I was a little kid, from science fiction and horror to everything in comic books. And the movies that bring these things to life in amazingly imaginative ways and yet still make you care about the people involved. There's still something that feels authentic, something I can relate to, something that is just so captivating to me, the way that films like City of Lost Children were able to do movies ranging from Brazil all the way to Labyrinth to Gremlins, you know. Pardon my French, love that shit. And look
Yeah,
at you with your killer clowns, man. Come on.
yeah, yeah. I'm
It's a whole
definitely a
nother
fan.
genre there. I love it.
For sure, man. Yeah. Fuller treats Dust Bunny like a fairy tale mixed with a mystery, and your character kind of plays into that tone and that emotional language, emotional tone of the story. You were kind of talking about a little bit about how your character kind of has to deal with, taking down this assassin, but also dealing with this the child as well. Was that something that was kind of like written into the script? Or go ahead, I'm
Wait,
sorry.
did you say that my character was because my character is assigned to protect the child?
Yeah. Yeah, but
Or
you're
not, no, 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 he's not assigned to protect the child. He's assigned to just kill Mads. But the idea that he would then care to protect the child, that was all Brian. I assumed
boom.
with the way that this character operated, anything in my way, whether it's a, server at the dim sum restaurant or the, janitor at the apartment building, anybody that's in the way of my objective is cannon fodder.
Yeah.
But for some reason, there was something about the conspicuously inconspicuous man that when he sees this kid sitting next to him and he's like, oh no, this is a huge problem that nobody gave me in the file because nobody knows that there is a kid that's a part of this guy's life. So as an actor, I went right through the ropes of like, is this his child? Did he adopt this child? Is he using this child as a human shield? Which is ultimately the choice that I made to go into it. I was like, okay, this guy's so slick. He thinks that he can use this child as like a human shield. I'm going to give him one chance and he needs to get her out of here because the people who are coming after me, they won't spare her life.
Yeah.
And I give him that heads up in the dim sum restaurant. And he takes it so kind of cavalierly that it really pisses off my character. And I'm like, okay, we're going to have to take this guy down.
Yeah, that's my favorite scene in the entire movie, honestly. I went back and watched it a few times. Just I mean, not only with the stylistic choices of Fuller, but like just that interaction is it's like you guys both have these jobs to do and it's so funny. Um
One of my favorite sequences, sadly, that we had to lose what we shot it was that the conspicuously inconspicuous man puts on a show for the girl in the restaurant using his sushi and his chopsticks. And he creates these fish that float through this magical ocean. And it was just such a grand, huge spectacle of stuff. I'm sure it was probably, I don't know why it was cut, but we could ask Brian, but I'm like, it was probably insanely expensive too.
Yeah, I could imagine, man. And to wrap up, I have to touch on this. You've worked with so many, visionary directors, amazing talents, Nolan, Lynch, just to name a few. Where does Brian Fuller's style, kind of within that lineage, where does he sit amongst the bold world builders that that we all know and love?
What makes Brian so special is he's got the expansive imagination and skill that you see in Spielberg stuff, and then you've got that like childlike curiosity about him that gets into the tactile, especially in the practical magic of filmmakers like the Joe Dantes of the world, and all wrapped up in the freedom, the poetry, and like the artistic prowess of the masters of French New Wave. That's Brian Fuller. But you can't quantify him in comparison to other people. What you can do is compare other people to Brian Fuller because he's pretty damn singular.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Jesse. That was awesome, dude. Have a great day.
You too, man. Here at CineDump, we let the doers know they're doing. David, you're doing just fine. We'll see you in the next one, buddy.
Thanks, man.